The musician of the Middle Ages and the Renaissance had an enormously varied group of instruments to draw upon, many of which were made in complete families, ranging in size from soprano to contrabass. In contrast, the modern orchestra really only has one, the violin family, consisting of the violin, viola, cello, and double bass. Moreover, where we are likely to have only one or two types of instruments of any given kind, these periods were likely to have several. Thus, while we have only one kind of bowed stringed instrument, the musicians of the Middle Ages and Renaissance had three, providing a very great range of tone colors, even in this single group. The first instrument you will hear on this recording is the medieval fiddle or vielle, a distant ancestor of the violin. First, you will hear the open strings of the instrument, and then three different versions of the troubadour song Kalenda Maya by Raimbault de Vaqueiras. Next, you will hear a group of rebecs, another type of bowed stringed instrument. Unlike the vielle, the neck and fingerboard of a rebec blend right into its body, which, instead of being flat like that of the violin, is shaped like a pear cut in half lengthwise. Once again, you will be hearing the open strings of the instruments. First, the treble rebec. Now the tenor rebec. And finally, the bass rebec. Now all three instruments will be heard together, playing Josquin de Prez' La Bernardina. One of the most important groups of bowed stringed instruments of the Renaissance was the viol family. The viols differ from the members of the violin family in several ways. Viols have 6 strings rather than 4. They're held downwards, either between the knees or resting on them, and are bowed underhanded rather than overhanded. The viols have a somewhat less penetrating sound than the rebecs, as you will be able to hear in the demonstration of the 2 stringed accompaniment parts to an anonymous German song, Ich sag's einmal, after which the 2 instruments will be joined by a soprano voice in a performance of the song itself. The viols came in a complete family, from the small treble down to a big double bass, the violone, and you will hear the sound of the open strings of 4 of these instruments. The treble, the tenor, the bass, often called the viola da gamba, the violone. Now, all 4 together in a performance of Claudin de Sermisy's Vient, cela. The viols were also used in somewhat more frivolous music, as you can hear in the next selection, where a treble viol, two tenor viols, and a bass viol play an anonymous pair of German dances, the Hoftanz-Hupfauff. The closest Renaissance ancestor to the modern violin was the LYRA da braccio, an instrument shaped very much like the violin, held horizontally like the violin, and bowed overhanded. In addition to 4 or 5 melody strings touched by the fingers of the left hand, the LYRA da braccio had 2 extra strings that could be made to sound a fixed pitch for use as a drone to accompany the tune being played on the melody strings. Players of the LYRA da braccio generally improvise their music, and this anonymous romanesca is one of the very few pieces for the instrument to come down to us in written form. The last member of the bowed stringed group to be heard on this recording is the hurdy-gurdy, a kind of mechanized fiddle sounded by turning a crank which causes a wheel to rub the strings. The instrument provides its own accompaniment by means of a drone, while the tune is played on the melody strings by means of a primitive keyboard. The piece you will hear is one of the cantigas attributed to Alfonso the Wise, a 13th century king of Castile. The violin family, although it came into being in the early 1500s, only shortly after the development of the viols, did not come into real prominence until the 1600s. For this reason, the violin family is not represented in this recording. Instead, we will move on to a number of plucked stringed instruments of the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. Only 2 instruments of this kind are in general use today, the guitar and the harp. But the Middle Ages, and especially the Renaissance, had many kinds, and we will begin with the small medieval harp, heard here accompanying a voice in an anonymous religious lyric, Patriae Pacis.
Patria patris luciti gubernatus et domina. Pia iuva precamina nos et deleas crimina. Mater misericordiae sumi vota fragilium. Et te clamantes elegi quibus dona consilium. Ut te inventes condere sumum valeamus palacium ubi viat appanet genitrix tuo proprium ante filium.
One of the most important instruments of both periods was the lute, which had a large number of solo works written for it, and which was also very important as an accompanying instrument with voice and with other instruments. As with the bowed strings, plucked stringed instruments in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance came in families consisting of several different sizes, and this was true of the lute as well. The first lute piece we will hear is played on a bass lute. Here are the open strings of the instrument. And now, a little toccata-like piece called Tastar di Corde. And now you will hear the open strings of the slightly smaller tenor lute. And a performance on two tenor lutes of an anonymous galliard. The Renaissance guitar had only 4 sets of strings, in contrast to a number of similar instruments of the period and to later guitars, which had 5 or 6 sets of strings. Here are the sounds of the open strings on a reproduction of a Renaissance guitar. Followed by 4 short pieces by Adrien Leroy. The instruments you have been hearing so far, with the exception of the medieval harp, were usually designed to have strings that were made of gut. But a number of Renaissance instruments were particularly designed to have wired strings. The first of these that you will hear is the citole, the general shape of which resembles that of the lute. You will be hearing the open strings of the instrument, followed by an anonymous danse réale.